Good day everyone. So today I'm going to report the child development and its importance and also the child development theories. So dito sa child development theories, it includes the psychosocial development theory of Erik Erikson, the cognitive developmental theory of Jean Piaget, social cultural theory of Lev Vygotsky, and social learning theory of Albert Bandura. So first thing first, we're going to talk about the child development and its importance. Child development and its importance, it is to ensure that the child meets his or her developmental milestones. It is crucial to observe and monitor his or her development. So yung developmental milestone na tinatawag, ito yung mga bagay na ginagawa ng isang bata at a certain age. Let's say for example, an infant taking his or her first step, the baby first smile, and having their first laugh. So, the milestones or developmental skills that need to be mastered usually at the same rate act as a guide for ideal development. So, yung mga developmental skills na dapat master ng isang bata ay magiging guide yun siya para sa kanila in taking another stage of their life. It is done by checking the progress of a child based on his or her age to see if the child is developing within expectations. For others, checking the milestones can help detect any difficulties at the particular stage. Sa pag-check ng mga progress ng isang bata ay nakakatulong yun siya para malaman natin kung there is developing happen within an expectation. And sa iba naman, sina-check nila yung milestone ng mga bata if there is difficulties in their development. Let's say for example, an 18-month-old infant that can't still walk at that age is need further investigation. At dito papasok yung intervention na tinatawag. So yung intervention na yun, ito yung educational system that help a child to fix his or her difficulties. And usually, yung mga teachers and parents yung gumagawa nito para matulungan yung mga bata in their developmental process. The next one is child development theories. So during early 20th century, interest in child development began, specifically that which focused on detecting abnormalities. And because of this, certain theories was been discovered like psychosocial development theories of Erik Erikson, the cognitive developmental theory of Jean Piaget, the social cultural theory of Lev Vygotsky, and social learning theories of Albert Bandura that appreciate the growth that children experience from birth to adolescence. And now, let's talk about the psychosocial development theories of Erik Erikson. Dito sa theory ni Erikson, meron siyang 8 stages, from infant, toddler, preschooler, grade schooler, teenager, young adult, middle-aged adult, and older adult that describe the changes one goes through in a lifetime. The main focus of Erikson's theory is the conflict or crisis one experiences through social interaction. So, yung focus ng theory ni Erikson ay yung mga conflict or crisis na na-experience ng isang bata through social interaction. He believed that bawat stages of a person experiences psychosocial crisis which could have a positive or negative outcome on a personality development of a person. Let's say for example, in infant stage, which is the trust versus mistrust. So dito, dapat yung bata must learn that adult can be trusted. So mangyayari lang yun kapag napi-feel ng bata yung care mula sa parents nila. And yung bata kasi dito at this stage is dependent upon their caregiver. So, dapat yung caregiver should help the baby to develop a sense of trust so that yung bata ay makikita niya na ang mundo ay safe and predictable place. And kapag hindi ka responsive as a caregiver or hindi mo na-meet yung basic needs ng isang bata, the child will develop the sense of mistrust, suspicions, and anxiety. At kapag nangyari yon, the infant will not be having a confidence in the world around them or their abilities to influence events. Starting from birth, each person is faced with a conflict that needs to be resolved since it has an impact on the function of the succeeding stages. If one successfully overcomes the crisis of each stage, a psychological virtues emerges. The next is cognitive developmental theory of Jean Piaget. This theory is concerned with the thought processes of a person and how they are used to understand and interact with the environment. Kung ang theory ni Erikson is all about the conflict or crisis na na-experience ng isang tao through social interaction, yung theory naman ni Piaget explain how a child construct a mental model of the world. So ang theory na ito ay nakafocus sa development of a human intelligence that linked to its environment. Piaget's theory focuses on children's intellectual development and has four stages. First is sensory motor stage. From birth to 2 years old, a child's knowledge is limited to his or her use of the senses. So sa sensory motor stage, child can learn through their senses or natututo sila without the use of symbols. All things learned are based on experiences or trial and error. The second one is pre-operational stage, from 2 to 6 years old. A child learns through the use of language. So sa pre-operational stage, yung bata ay natututo through the use of language. And at this stage also, the development of memory and imagination ng isang bata ay nade-develop na. But then, mental manipulations of information does not take place yet. The third one is concrete operational stage, from 7 to 11 years old. A child begins to think logically and have better understanding of mental operations. So, dito naman, it is more on logical and methodical manipulations of symbols. So, yung bata at this stage can present objects and ideas in a more logical way. Pero yung mga iniisip nila is not on the same level as an adult, ha? They begin to be more flexible in their thoughts and ideas, and then the abstract concepts are still difficult to understand. The last one is a formal operational stage. From 12 years old to adulthood, a person has the ability to think in abstract concept. So dito naman, they can now reason out more about abstract ideas. So yung teacher dito can now ask hypothetical questions with reasonable expectation. Next theory is sociocultural theory of Lev Vygotsky. In this theory, Vygotsky believed that children learn actively through hands-on experience. Vygotsky believed na yung parents, caregiver, and peers are responsible for developing higher order functions. Culture plays an integral role as well. Interactions with others allow learning to be integrated in the child's understandings of the world. So Vygotsky also believed na yung learning ng isang bata ay hindi lang siya influenced with adult and by his or her peers, but also the cultural belief and attitude that affect on how learning takes place. Also included in this theory is the zone of proximal development, which is the portions in between what can do on his or her own and with help. Children best learn when they are in this zone. Yung zone of proximal development, ito yung task na nagagawa ng isang bata with the help and guidance of others kasi hindi niya pa kayang mag-perform independently. The last theory is social learning theory of Albert Bandura. This theory believes that learning takes place through observations and modeling. So dito, learning happens through observations and modeling the behaviors, attitudes, and emotional reactions of others. As a child observes the actions of the people in his or her environment, new information is acquired and new skills are developed. So yung bata daw in this theory can acquire new information sa pamamagitan ng pag-o-observe ng emotion ng isang tao. And in addition to the observations of behavior, learning also occurs through observations of reward and punishment, a process known as vicarious reinforcement. And that's all my report, guys. Thank you sa pakikinig.